Hey everyone, welcome to the first episode of Ready to Share. I'm Roxanne from Tongyi Lab Alibaba Group. I will be your host today. At Tongyi Lab, we are exploring the frontier of AI, the models, tools, methodologies, and applications. So, this is a lab series where we invite researchers from our team to talk about their latest work, not just the final results, but also the ideas, decisions, and the questions that led to the research. So think of it as a public lab meeting. Today, we are talking about LOGOS, a research paper that we recently released for AI for Science. This is a very interesting topic because one of the biggest idea behind LOGOS is pretty ambitious. So we put it in our first episode to share with you. The idea is, can we represent different scientific objects into a single framework? To walk us through this paper, I'm joined by one of the researchers behind the project, Mr. Wang Zheng. Thanks for being here.
Okay, hi. Thanks for the host. And today I will introduce our recent work, which is also open source online. And the main topic of this research is a multi-domain generative foundation model for natural science, and we name it LOGOS. And in these days, AI for science is a very hot topic in the research field, and it has been it had been several transitions from the race of experimental science till today, and nowadays we can call it AI driven science, and all of this, I think, starting from the AlphaFold 2, and which has shown powerful ability to solve the biology and chemistry problems. It can predict the structure of the protein very accurate. And after that, the researchers and the AI researchers and both AI researchers and biology researchers, they all believe and AI can help human to solve the science problems. And our team has also been actively involved in developing the AI for science tools. And we have developed several domain-specific models, which are listed below. And at that time, it's starting about 3 years ago. And at that time, we follow the main stream of this AI for science research. And at that time, we just built the domain-specific models, use the domain-specific data. And for example, we built a biomolecular foundation model, which is formulate both small molecule and the big molecule, which is protein. And it has been used for drug discovery for the high throughput screening. And we also developed a sequence model for both protein and DNA, which we call the LOGOS series. And for these series models, we also train several downstream task-specific models, which is for virus and for agricultural, such as that. And we also built a generative foundation model for gene sequence, which we call generator. And at that time, so when we developed these models, we face a problem. So we think it has a gap between the LLM and the domain-specific AI for science model. As in a large language model, we use same pipeline to solve all the tasks. But for AI for science, we use separate models to train separate data. And when we solve the downstream task, we also need to fine-tune the models. So you can say, I think the AI for science model maybe follow behind the large language model. So we think about to bridge this gap, and we try different approaches. But the main motivation of this is from two sides. One side is from the GPT moment in LLM. As we all know, so GPT, when it has been developed, it combined all the tasks in natural language processing, and it used a next token prediction framework to train all this data and build a single model to solve different tasks. And another field we learn from is the math and coding. As we know, in the reasoning model for LLM, and both math and coding can enhance the large language model ability. And we think it's because for math and coding, they are self-consistent domains. So for math, the logic and all the tokens are self-consistent inside math. And the large language model or the natural language is only assistant tokens when we do the long horizon thinking. And for coding, it's more obvious as when we code dumping. So we didn't write a lot of natural language. We just used the coding itself. And so we want to combine all this idea into our model and to solve the F science problem. And if we want to use a single model to solve all the problems, so there are also two directions. One is very simple. So we just use the training data from science, and we use the conventional training process for LLM. So that's very simple, right? And it's only introduce more training data. But we have tried several models, and it not works very well. And another direction is, so we treat the AF science data as a specific language, and we make it more self-consistent. And then we introduce this data into the training set and to train the base model. And we can enhance the science ability for the base model. And we choose the second direction, second way. So we invent this model we call LOGOS. And in this model, so the most, I think the most valuable thing we do is to introduce a simple grammar into the science domain. And we didn't use the natural language in this training data. We only use the science sequence or the science information, the science sequence with scientific information. And to make it self-consistent, we introduce a series of tokens which indicate the entity of the science object, and also the position of the science object, and also the interaction of the science objects. And after introduce all these tokens or introduce these grammars, we can make the data more self-consistent. And we can use only this data as the training samples. And we also follow the training pipeline of the large language foundation models, and then we can build a science model. So yeah, so we can use this model to combine different data from multiple domains using the same grammar pipelines. And I think right now they are they are main about the molecular science or the molecular data. That is because we are a research group, and we use this type of science data to verify our method and our model. And for the future work, we are still working on to make the training data from more and more domains from a different type of science directions. And let's see how we introduce the grammar and how we rewrite the science entities. And it's very simple. We just use, I have already said, we have only introduced these extra tokens to indicate what's the entity of the science object, such as protein, an antibody, molecule, or material. So we only introduce the starting indicators and ending indicators. So that's for the objects. And we also indicate the position of different type of objects and the interaction of these objects by introduce the specific tokens inside the sequence, inside the science sequence, and indicate where they interact. And after that, we can combine the data. We can unify the data from different data sets and different science domains together. And then we train our logo model during the follow the same pipeline as the LLM. And when we finish this training, we test our model or test the science ability of our model in different tasks. And so what is surprising us is all so for all these tasks, our model performs the best or performs similar as the best specific tools in the science domain. So to us, it's very surprising. It can be say as a GPT moment for science, as we can see all these tasks our model can perform the best. And this is the results for some of the tasks. The first one is molecule generation. So in this task, we are given a pocket of protein, and we can use our model. We can input this pocket of the protein into our model, and our model can output a small molecule, which can be combined with this pocket. And our model show the best performance compared with all SOTA tools and all SOTA models. And the second one is pocket identification, which is we are given a protein, and our model can output the pocket it guessed for this protein. And for the existing pocket, we perform the best among the different specific tools. And another interesting point, we can find some extra pockets which has never been verified. And so we are trying to find some collaborators to verify it during the white web experiment. And the third one is the material generation. So it's a pure unconditional generation tasks. So we are working on a specific material, which is MOF material. And our model also performs best among the different SOTA methods. And also we can work for the reverse reverse act of the chemistry, which is a retrosynthetic model, and it also performs very good. And that's in the last few slides, we show the performance for the science domain, and we also do some experiment for the ablation study for the model part. And we have tried. So in this part, we also surprised. So we have set two settings. So one settings we use random initialization for the model parameter. So we train starting from scratch. And another direction, we use a Q1 model as the initial model. And we train, after that, we use a continuous pre-training and also the SFT. And after that, so it verified when we're starting from the Q1 base model, the final model performs better. So that is surprising, also a very interesting result. So for in the last few years, when we build some science-specific domain models, we just use the science data and starting from scratch. But right now, we can see from a large language foundation model, so it helps to build a better model for science. And we also train different model size, which 0.6B and 1B and 3B and 8B. And the results also show when the model skill increase, the model probability increase. That is consistent with the LLM. And another interesting study is that we also compare the result by training using only one domain data or use a different type of domain data. And it also showed that when we use six or seven domain data to train the base model together, and the final result performs much better. So that also gave us very useful information. That means use cross-domain collaboration will help to train a stronger model. So that gave us a promising future that we can use more and more data, and we can try we can try a larger model and to verify the scaling law in the science domain. Okay, so right now that's all the information I introduced today. And for the takeaways, so in our research study, we have verified that we can train a unified model to solve different science problems. And we believe that we should not train separate stacks from the LM. We just need to align the science data with the natural language and train using a unified pipeline. And for the future works, I think we will use larger data and more domain science data with to train much larger models and to verify the scaling law in science. And we also want to mention that we want to investigate so another direction of science for AI, and we want to use more science data to train the LLM and to verify if the science data can enhance the model general intelligence ability. So that's our future plans. Thanks for listening.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you for the detailed introduction. I think it really gives us a whole picture of what you've been working on. So I think after that, we can dive into something deeper. So to begin with, one thing that really stood out to me is that Logos is just it isn't just another AI for science model. It feels like you are trying to answer a more fundamental question if there is a common language or let's say grammar for science. So let's talk about that.
Mhm.
Where did that idea come from at first, and why did you think this was the right direction?
Okay, that's a very good question. So we start this project about 2 years ago, and at that time we are training the domain specific models, and we
Mhm,
train several different models, and we find it's very different from the large language model. As for large language model, we only use one model structure and one training pipeline. So that is motivation. Um, we want to find a unified pipeline for all the science data.
mhm,
And as I said, there are two ways to solve this problem. One is just import all the data into training the LLM. And another one is to make the science data more self-consistent. And we have tried different methods. We have tried different pipelines, and some of them fails. So the final one we choose is to use a grammar system and to introduce some simple specific tokens into this vocabulary, and to make the science domain more self-consistent and use it to train the LLM. And the advantage of this is we don't need to use the uh, cross-domain data. I mean, we don't need to, but we can use. And we
mhm,
don't need to use the cross-domain data, which are combine both the natural language and the science language. We can only use the science language to train the model. So I think that give us more potential for the future ability enhancement for the model.
mhm. That sounds very interesting. But like you said, you've tried many other methods.
Mhm.
So during your working on the project, did you find any challenges and what technical innovations you've made in this work?
Um, I think there are many challenges. So, because we have working on this for about years, and I think the first one is to unify all these tasks. So we have tried to uh, just uh, uh, combine all this data together, and we train it using next token prediction, and it fails. We also
Mhm,
try to use SFT to fine tune the base model, and it also not it also it didn't work well either. And we also try different other model structures such as graphical neural network and the variance of the transformer. In all this, we didn't get very good results. All this not meet our expect. Uh, and so we want to introduce some uh, so at first, we want to introduce some answers. I mean, we want to reformulate all the training data as the prompt, and we want to introduce some answers to this prompt. But it's very difficult to find simple ways to introduce the answer for different type of science problems. And after that, so we starting from the science domain itself, and we introduce the specific token and transform all the data into a sequence. And we we can use the next token prediction to uh, training this type of data. And after uh, plenty of experiment, also there at first we have some bugs in our training code, and after we solve all these problems, we can get a better result. And at first, it only works for 1 or 2 tasks. And when we introduce more and more tasks, we are surprised that it can work for all of these tasks. And so that's the logo models we can build. And I think right now we are also facing another challenge we are not solved today. That's the trade-off between the natural language and the science language. So in our training or in our experiment, when we increase the natural language training data, the science ability reduce. So we didn't find exactly the reason, but we guess it may be because the data is not enough, and the skill of the model is also small. So in the future work, we want to increase the skill of the model and also try more and more data from different domains.
Yeah, I can see that it really take you much time and effort to get the, let's say, successful results of this project. And even if there's still challenges remaining, but I think you can, like your team, will put much more effort into the future research. So now let's talk about the results. There are a lot of experiments in the paper, and you've already shared some of them with us. So, can you share some key findings of those results you've just shared? And was there anything that surprised you?
So the most I think the most thing surprised me I think is the application study for the model part, and
Mhm.
as I said, when we starting the AF science research, so we train some domain specific model, and we train the model from scratch, and we also try to use some base model to initial our transformer, but they didn't work. But for this logo model, so when we uh, initial this model from random parameter or the Q1 base model, we find the we use a Q1 base model as the initial model. The performance is much better than random initialization. So that gave us a very promising directions, so we can use the large language model as the starting point. And
Mhm.
there's also I think there's also mm, we can embed all the science domain data, all the science ability into the large language model. So that's give us some hint for our future work.
Yeah, I think that sounds really promising. So I think we've talked about the motivation, the core ideas behind the research, and of course, the results and the surprises you've find through the research. So now I'd love to talk about something more broader. So the first question would be, looking ahead, how do you see logos being used in real world? Will it have a meaningful impact on scientific discovery?
Yes, I think this is um, I think this first few works working on this direction, and it gives a very promising technique to build a science model. And you can see for the science experiment, so we have shown that it has a very good performance for different type of science tasks. And Some of them I think is very practical, such as the screening problem, the pocket finding problem. They're very useful for the drug discovery industry, and also for the material generation. It's also uh, practical for the material industry. And but I think so. This still a preliminary try in this direction.
Mm.
We want to push this skill into a much larger skill, and we use much larger data set, training data, and much larger model skills. I think in the future, if we can build a very large model, if we can process a lot of more and more science data, I think it can perform much better.
Yeah, you are right. I think every application just comes from the theory.
Mm.
So speaking of the challenges, you've shared some of the remaining works. So do you have any specific research plans for the future in this direction?
Yeah, I think the future research direction is the scaling law in
Uh,
the science model, and also in another direction is to incorporate more and more science domains. For honest speaking, for current status for the model, we only work on the molecule-related science domain, and which we bridge all the subdomains with the molecules and atoms. And in the future, we want to introduce more science domains, but there's a new challenge that means we must introduce a specific grammar of much specific tokens for the specific science domain. And I think we need the help from the experts for that domain.
mm,
And the expert may the experts can easily find some ways to transform the science language into a sequence, and by introduce some specific tokens. If the science experts, they can help us, so I think
mm,
we can make this uh, model more stronger. Yeah.
mm. Yeah, looking forward to your future research. So to close up this live stream, let's jump to the last question. So if someone only remembers one thing from today's conversation, what do you hope that thing is?
I think it will be Logos is not another multi-domain or multi-modality foundation model. So Logos is a model we want to introduce to embed the science information into the large language model. I think that's the one word I want to see.
Mhm.
Mm.
Yeah. So thank you so much for joining us today and sharing the story behind logos, Mr. Wang Zhen.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so to our audience, we've dropped links to the paper in the description. So if you are interested in this project, please feel free to access it. And we'd love to hear your questions and thoughts in the comments. Thanks everyone for tuning in to our live stream today, and we will see you in the next one.